game sense. He's good at positioning his army really well and kind of predicting where to go a lot of the time, and sometimes doing like a good job with build order predictions. And then of course like the big disruptor plays. I think Nina is a lot more skilled with micro, finding ways to multi-prong harass, like doing really sick, flashy moves like in a couple of second basis. So I'm actually really excited to see how this goes. We can re-go. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nina was still on 13 out of 15. She's a whole 2 probes behind.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be tough. So don't mind that one.
Game pros. So a little bit of an awkward start to this, but I guess it could be worse. So I do like the way you were summing them up. I do agree with it. MCanning has gotten a lot of like clever comebacks in PvP that I've gotten the cast. Like, oh, if only he didn't position the disruptor there, the other guy would have won. But yeah, Nina is a lot more well known for her actual micro, not just on disruptors, but also she's one of the few Protosses who still likes to Colossus drop. Or
yeah. Oh man.
Play more in a Blink Stalker.
Yeah, I think when I think of Nina also, like there was a really fun period of time where I used to associate both these players with disruptors. And I remember at that time, like they faced off against each other a couple of times. And actually I would say MCanning was winning out on disruptor versus disruptor wars. I think that you were saying the last time that didn't quite end up working out. I'm not taking that last match as just like the full summary of like, oh, well, Nina's just better with disruptors. But I think Nina is better with Blink Stalkers and like the supporting units around those disruptors. And I feel like MCanning's really good with just the disruptors. But I think that what you were saying like it really lines up with the fact that Nina again kind of gets to play her game first, because you do just face off with stalkers versus stalkers, and if you're winning on that stalker war, yeah, you can kind of just shut down big disruptor counts or like minor disruptor counts, stop them before they really get rolling, and then it's pretty hard to re-seize control. So I definitely want to see how exactly MCanning approaches this match.
Well, it's going to start off on Romanticide, which seems oddly familiar. PvPs, I guess, just love this map. In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss, he is the one and only MCanning.
And up here on the top left-hand side of the map, we have the red Protoss player. It is going to be from Team Exxon. She is Nina.
So it's really important to bring up that point you just made, like maybe if Blink Stalkers are going to go more in Nina's favor. Because we are seeing that transition into not just disruptor versus disruptor, but a very possible mass gateway versus disruptor. So it would seem like as soon as Nina realized that this was going to be something that's even in meta, that there's people to like learn from, because I'm sure she's already tried it, that she would jump on board with the mass gateway style, the way that she plays and her strengths.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't actually thought about that as much, and like how the meta plays probably with Nina's style. Because you know, when I think of Nina also, I usually think of like small clumps of power units, highly microable power units. And when I think of like that gateway style, and I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way, actually, I'm overall gonna agree with you in the end, but just getting there is gonna sound like I'm disagreeing with you. But like that mass gateway style, like I don't really think of it as like small, that style that Nina would normally drift toward. But that being said, like it is about doing lots of little bits of harassment, finding value with small groups of units like those stalkers blinking around, trying to find some damage while getting a warp prism in for some charge lot warp-ins. I would not hate to see Nina really go hard on that if that's what she feels comfortable with.
I think it would give her a lot of control, which I assume she's going to be the one in control for most of the game regardless, but it would do it maybe earlier on, depending on how they really want to play. As I was mentioning in the last PvP that we did, all the way in the back of the beginning of the broadcast, is that, you know, Hellraiser actually was doing even some fast expansions, not just trying to get the momentum as fast as possible. Which could be I think it's going to be very different. Like, you can't even really compare, even as in general across all the regions, PvP kind of moves towards the same direction. I think there is a drastic difference between European Protosses and North American Protosses, and even, I guess, European Protosses when they actually do face off against each other. So as far as the openings go, it expect something very different. So far, just a lot of normal macro openers, just a slight difference of actual units being prepared. So a faster sentry here for MCanning, whereas Nina actually went for some stalkers, then into 2 sentries, ultimately arriving at the same destination.
Yeah, or at least a pretty similar one, with a difference of like 1 unit. But Nina, with just 2 stalkers, is not really looking to get hyper aggressive there, and is actually going to be a little bit careful. Will get away with both of those stalkers, although taking a bit of hull damage on one of them. But it's going to be Stargate coming out over here from look at that, all the balloons in this base. Oh my God, Zombie Grub. I have to say, one thing we haven't talked about is the spray micro that comes out from these North American players is really just exceptional. I love this spray meta.
Last season,
I know, this is like a trigger point for her now, is if I talk about sprays, Zombie Grub just like, his blood starts boiling, she gets angry with me, she starts like writing angry messages to me on Discord, being like, Fear Dragon, I'm gonna mute you if you don't stop talking about these damn sprays.
No, the opposite, in fact. My eyes were prepared to glaze right on over.
Okay,
I was just like, all right, do your thing, talk about the micro. How is it done, okay. Fear Dragon?
That's okay. No. It's Twilight Council versus Stargate opening, Zombie Grub.
I just feel like I'm the one who's bullying you, when actually I'm the one who's trying to talk about StarCraft.
I mean, but I am talking about. In fact, I'm talking about those glorious things that you can do inside of StarCraft to get the mental edge on your opponent. Am I commentating the game at a higher level than you on a mental playing field while you're talking about the physical? Maybe. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that this Oracle is going to be making its way across the map, while Void Ray is going to be the follow-up over here for some safety.
When you described how he did it, I wasn't so interested, but when you noted that he does 2 versus 3 with 2 different builds, because he did that once or something along those lines, I was actually pretty impressed.
Yeah.
Anyways, not usually a big deal. So I do like the Oracle opener. I said this again in that previous PvP, where it's like, I'm actually a fan more and more of Stargate openers, as long as you don't commit to it. But that's the difference. MCanning is committing to this. He's going into the Void Ray Immortal. Style is kind of, I feel like, a strong word for it. Opener, maybe? I don't know. But, we've seen like Max Packs do it a couple times, even after like a Proxy Gateway or Canna Rush. But to do it as is in a normal macro game, like, well, I don't know. It feels like one of those builds that is absolutely incredibly frustrating to play against on the ladder. But once you figure out that your opponent is that type of guy, you just kill him. So I want to see what Nina's about to do.
Yeah. Well, I will compliment MCanning in saying that I think he's actually pretty good at like mixing up different build orders. So even if he does this in game 1, I feel like it's maybe not something we'll see him repeat. But like you said, it's going to be a lot about Nina identifying that's happening this game. And Hallucinated Phoenix Scouts and PvP, Zombie Grub, they're pretty good. They usually get their eye on the prize, and Nina just sent one in. Did not scout like the left-hand side of the base, but saw both Stargates, and that's all the information you need. Now the question is, how does Nina respond? Because I do think sometimes this is one thing about Nina, which I both love about her and also feel like it backfires a lot. She can be very stubborn sometimes in the way she approaches the game, and like she'll do things like, I just will continue making Blink Stalkers and I will just kill you with the Blink Stalkers. Like, this is how I'll do it. And sometimes she looks like an absolute genius, and sometimes she kind of just looks like she gets shut down and flustered.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I can't explain it much better, but I definitely get you. This attack kind of seems a bit awkward, kind of along that, like, I understand what you're saying. Like, she got a lot of gateways, but I think if you scouted this earlier, you would have actually wanted to, like, supercharge 3 base. You want to get 3 bases, continue chroning your upgrades, and then once you're there and settled, then you would go for a big attack and use all your warp gates, right? So actually, I feel like this is kind of awkward. It's like a Zerg mentality. You want to drone, then make an army. I feel like that would actually set up better against MCanning than what is happening, where it's kind of half and half. And if she does over-dedicate, kind of along what you were talking about, then once you over-dedicate once against this style, it does feel like it's actually insurmountable afterwards. It's the same thing as dealing with like a fast battle cruiser or carrier guy in the ladder.
Well, this is absolutely what I was kind of expecting, where Nina is going to try and abuse her micro against MCanning style, because Nina is not about the super level strategy and everything. It's about just having realistic plays with micro. Oh, the Stalkers had their blink on cooldown for a little bit longer than I think she wanted. Tries to come in from the bottom side at the same time, just kind of holding this very immobile army apart from 2 different angles. But I would actually say, even with 5 workers, maybe not exactly how Nina wanted that to trade out.
You know, I almost would have preferred her trying to engage with both sides as opposed to trying to harass with both sides, you know?
That's what I thought was going to happen, yeah.
Yeah, pull, maybe snipe a shield battery, pull them back. The other side snipes a couple of probes, pulls them back. Other side snipes a void ray, you know, that type of dance. But way it went right now, not looking so hot.
So Zombie, we have Storm on the way for Nina. Okay, so this is like Nina specialty level areas where we're like, okay, we're going to like charge slots and Storm to complement the Stalkers. So Nina's absolutely going to try and be as active as possible with these Stalkers because that's what Nina does. She is very, very active with hyper microable units all the time. Almost gets a snipe off on that Void Ray. But she is going to be facing off against not only like these Voiders and everything, but a couple of one Disruptor's been added on before going into a Fleet Beacon now for MCanning.
I don't mind the Disruptor.
Yeah.
I feel like it secures you against the massive Blink Stalker all in, the one that just like jumps on you. that would deter it if the Immortals don't. So yeah, the Storm is kind of like a thing we would usually see from Nina, but it's the more you see people actually face the Void Ray players or the fast carrier players, the more you see it kind of being an accepted thing. It seems like something a Twitch chatter would suggest, like, why didn't you go Storm? And you're kind of like, scoff, ha, reasons, you don't understand. But actually, it's pretty effective. The Void Rays clump a lot. It can even help out against carrier interceptors, although that is a very, like, perfect Storm, literally, scenario. Yeah. But I do like it against the Void Rays, because that's certainly what we're still committing to. It's just Flux Veins on the way.
Yeah, you're right. It is absolutely just going to be mostly a committal to the Void Rays. Now, another thing I want to actually mention about Nina that she loves doing, which is very uncommon these days, is she will actually go for Storm drops. She'll do it even in PvP sometimes. Might be a little bit difficult to pull off versus a player that has, 11 Void Rays, and if you're just ever so slightly opposition, that is a very expensive Warp Prism to lose. But definitely keep an eye out on that, because Nina is not afraid to play with fire like that. Nina will absolutely go for the high-risk, high-reward plays, 100% of the time.
Yeah, definitely agree on that. That is a lot of Storms. Hopefully they don't get hit by the Disruptor, of which there now are 3. Third one just popped out. Finally adding on some carriers as well. This is kind of do or die for Nina. She does a lot of damage or straight up wins the game, or she's going to lose out to the late game technology of her opponent. She's going to find the Disruptor, but then, oh my god, the Stasis Trap, not that it takes away like a 4th or a 5th of her army, but it also creates a bit of a force field, so now it's really awkward for her to engage up that ramp.
Yeah, I mean, to look optimistically, it's mostly the Zealots that get hit. Oh my god, the High Templars cannot get out of the way of that. There are still a few Storms left available, but we end up seeing that Nina's trying to come in on over there. The Shield Battery Overcharge, keeping that Disruptor alive for such a long time, finally does manage to get it. Looks like finally, though, I think that MCann is going to feel comfortable enough that most of the Storms have been used, can finally start pushing a bit further forward. Really would love another Disruptor Shield Battery Overcharge to regenerate these shields, though.
Yeah, it's getting awfully weak and awfully scary. Those were some of the last Storms, though. In fact, I think they were the last ones. But it still means that the Void Rays don't have shield. The Disruptor goes down. That's not going to be able to help. The economy is lost that natural. In fact, the Nexus itself looks like it's going to go down. But if MCanning can sacrifice that, yet keep his army alive, then it could very well be worth it. He is still going to have, theoretically, if he can afford it, like the better army. Oh man, Prosaic Alarm on top of the Stalkers. They are forced to disengage. He's trying to protect his production in that main base, but at the same time, he might lose control of another base to the south. Good Disruptor hits, but that third base is still under a lot of fire.
Yeah, those Void Rays try and pump out some damage. Disruptor shot does not manage to connect. Now the Archon's engaging versus the Void Rays. They are going to lose that fight. There are still a handful of these Stalkers left over, but honestly not that many. It's about the Zealots doing the damage on the ground on the south side of this fight. A very, very scrappy, messy fight. But those Zealots, I really do think, took care of a lot of the ground force for MCanning. So now MCanning is basically stuck saying, okay, I have a lot of Void Rays, but I lost a very important base there. Even lost some of the mining over at that third base. These Void Rays have to do it for me. It's the Void Rays and the carrier that's actually going to be coming out. How do you feel about moving out right now, or is Nina just not even going to give MCanning a chance?
I don't think MCanning should move out, that's for sure. He should be totally defensive, guarding the bases he still has. I think it's, it would have been a lot better for Nina to actually grab that third Nexus. As it is, she still has a shot to make this work. +3 is finished up for her. MCanning did finish 2-1, so that's the plasma shields affecting everything. That's something to consider, but Storm's once again a part of the engagement. Lots of Void Rays still weak from previous. That includes the hull, not just the shields. I don't know. It's such an explosive army from MCanning. It quickly goes from just being like not being, barely not enough to suddenly overwhelming.
Yeah, honestly, Zombie Grub is one thing I'm really afraid of right now for Nina, which is if that Disruptor count even grows like 1 or 2 more, the High Templars don't get to run away. This is what I was saying. The High Templars don't get to run away with the Stalkers. They don't get to blink out of the way of Disruptor shots or anything. So a lot of these are already going to go down. There are some more freshly warped in High Templars on the backside, but they are barely going to get the energy for Storm now. But again, they don't get to run away with the rest of the army that easily.
Yeah, very not easily, that's for sure. I'm afraid that wasn't a good enough kind of second break, kind of, sort of, whatever. Like, she might have been able to find an opportunity if the Storms were actually there, or she hadn't lost as many Stalkers, but now it is becoming that problem again where it's like, if you don't break the Void Ray person, you don't break them. You have to either be going into your own late game or, something really extreme, like you have 10 bases to their 5, which Nina is trying to go for. Gets the Disruptors, getting to a 5th base, and still trying to use her mobility.
Yeah, this is, honestly, Zombie Grub, I saw the Voiders coming out, and I was like, this is where it's going to go. This is what I was exactly the kind of thing I was talking about, where Nina is kind of the player that will just be like, I will deal with this with Blink Stalkers. Like, that's the way I'm going to deal with it. Oh my god, very aggressive Blink forward. A couple of Disruptor drops do manage to get off there. MCanning gets a massive snag. It is now almost triple the army supply there for MCanning. I think that's the confidence boost he needed. He is going to move across the map, jump into this base of Nina, should be able to snag that, but honestly, Zombie Grub wouldn't hate if he just went straight over toward the jugular, like go for the production at this point.
Yeah, I think he might be waiting for a couple more Disruptors, or at least to make sure that they're off cooldown, right? Because it was not a good trade at all for Nina, don't get me wrong, but at least it took out some of the Disruptors. Nina, I think with that might have actually been the nail in the coffin, honestly. With that third engagement, how badly it went too, yeah, it just seems like it's too far gone. She's gonna have to really either continue forcing almost like base trades, keeping MCanning back at home.
But I would in the main of MCanning at the same time that the Stalkers are being aggressive. It's a DT warping. Oh, this is actually massive. This army is not super mobile right now. Yes, there's gonna be maybe like an opportunity for recall, but take a look at that energy on that Nexus, Zombie Grub. It is just shy of enough energy. Same with the natural. Third base, same deal. There's no recall available.
It's gonna get a fleet beacon. But is this actually enough? Nina, I would love this if Nina was working her own way to a fleet beacon, and she was about to be on 3 Stargate production herself and trying to catch up in that regard. But as long as I'm canning, like he could take harassment, he could lose probes and even 1 or 2 bases, I would say, as long as he keeps his army alive, because that army is it's superior. Like, unless it's a perfect 360 surround, it is the superior army. So MCanning, just best case scenario right now, keep a cool head. Don't go like floundering around being like, oh no, harassment, what do I do? Just make sure to keep your army together and don't lose Void Rays one at a time.
Ooh.
Okay.
Snipes off 1 of the 10 Void Rays, so we're down to 9 now, but 2 more Void Rays are on their way right after that fleet beacon having been sniped off, and the Robo Bay is also being rebuilt. The Stalker's going to look for a kill on a carrier. They're just shy of the damage for it, so I have to stick around for a second shot. Handful more Stalkers do end up falling there. Nina is definitely down in army supply, and it's also not the kind of army supply you want. It's all about that Warp Prism harassment. The DTs are running in, but the DTs on the other side of the map do get sniped off. I'm not seeing that Warp Prism in the main base. Nina, like you said, is just trying to go for almost base trade-esque styles. Trying to out macro her opponent is going to be able to snap off a handful of these Void Rays, but there is a big cost associated with it.
Yeah, which I think she would afford if she was actually on 81 probes or 90 probes in 7 bases, but she's only just added on 2 more Nexus. DT is not going to do anything. Yeah, MCanning can focus entirely on the push, and once Nina is she's actually got her back up against the wall, her army really is quite bad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like every Platinum League Protoss player has hit that moment where they're like, I have 3 more bases than you, but you have this big Skytoss army, and I just can't do anything against it at this point anymore, because I didn't start trying to compete with you on that term, so now you just have to try and go for this crazy base trade-ish style, and hey, I'm not gonna lie, this is a nice snag, you kill this off, losing the Observer would be not ideal. It does manage to actually keep that alive, and also is eventually going to be able to kill off this base, but the rate that Nina is losing bases is a lot faster than the rate MCanning is.
Yeah, and while she did pull her probes to those new bases, she's about to lose her production. Or actually, MCanning's going to pull back. So production's still okay, but this base could go down, and then eventually Nina would be forced to engage army to army, which will not go well for her. But this is certainly her best chance. She's been trying to crack MCanning's defenses the entire game, finally did so in a fashion, in a way. Base trading, I guess, is part of it. Grabbing 2-3 Nexus, maybe getting up to the main base, but here comes that carrier army.
Yeah, there's a handful of storms available, but this army is actually getting cornered in between Void Rays, Disruptors, Carriers, and more Disruptors and more Void Rays. One of the High Templars go down. Oh, 2 more High Templar go down. Barely any storms remaining now. Nina starting to come down to her last legs as she does even get Revelationed. That is, I feel like, the nail in the coffin. When you lose your ability to try and outmaneuver your opponent, because your opponent just has eyes on you, like, what are you supposed to do from here? The army is drawn MCanning's army over to the remaining bases here. Like, there's no more escaping or running away.
You know what? She might be thinking of an actual base race. She might be thinking about final building.
I think she has to at this point.
Yeah, I definitely that's the case. But sometimes, like, I think a lot of players honestly would have tapped out already, right? But Nina would actually be like, is there any chance at all for a base race? The last building going down. And if it's a yes, even like a 1% yes, yeah, she's the type of person to stick it.
I think MCanning had some, like I was saying, I think one of his best attributes is he has really good game sense, and I think his game sense has told him, like, okay, hold on. I played enough games versus Nina. I know this sort of maneuvering goes to that top right-hand base. Just to get an extra base set up that's a little bit further away is not as easy to just quickly 1, 2, 3 snipe off bases. And Nina's gonna go for the bottom left-hand base, but this stalker count is just, it's not gonna get replenished very quickly. There's so many stalkers that have been falling throughout these fights.
I gotta give credit to some of Nina's
God,
firing and micro, man. Like, it's working out, but it's still a pretty steady 30 supply lead for MCanning, and he just finished +1 armor for his air.
There's only 5 Void Rays that are left, actually. Like, there's 2 more on the way. MCanning is also transferring workers up to the top right-hand base. MCanning is not quite in a bad spot yet. But if Nina is able to get up some more mining again, like, I'm not talking about that bottom left-hand base, I mean like another base on top of that, and Nina is able to get these stalkers in to start sniping off tech again, MCanning is not exactly in a great economic place to just replenish everything very easily.
Oh, good eyes there. She saw the stasis trap. Got to run away from a disruptor, but at least it didn't hit her. But there's the army.
Oh, more Void Rays.
Yes, but then maybe Big Tro that was kind of close to the disruptor. She's good though. She's good. She's gonna play Ring Around the Rosie. Another Void Ray. Oh my gosh, Nina really is trying to make this a game.
Can we take a look at like resources lost? You can see Nina has actually been losing out a lot, but just I pull it up, or I want to see that pulled up right now. Not because this is gonna be like the super telling moment or just yet, but just look at the difference right now. Keep that in your mind, and when we look back toward the end of this game as Nina tries to play her style, like, I have a feeling it's actually gonna be closer at the end of this game.
Oh, it would be lovely to get those 2 Void Rays, but they're gonna get out. Yeah, I find it so funny. Like, look at the resources lost, and it's just so insane. Now that the base has been found out, she might actually just get enough.
Oh, Void Ray's too far forward. That's one Void Ray. That's a second Void Ray, maybe.
Yep. But that base is definitely dead. She has to give up on it, right?
Yeah. You definitely have to give up on it eventually, at least. But I think that the stalkers are trying to play with fire. They're looking for more kills. Look at that, blinking individual sections of the stalkers that have taken fire from the Void Rays. Nina plays with fire, absolutely, and she did evacuate a handful of the probes out already, but is only reestablishing like that 3rd base location. And I think that the biggest problem right now is that MCanning has had that top right-hand base, and it has gone uncontested this whole time.
Exactly. Like, if he had never gotten that base up, I think there's still a 40 to 60 army supply, right? Instead of the 40 to 100 army supply that it is.
Nina just found it.
I know, yeah. I mean, eventually she would have figured out too. You know, like, okay, there's too many armies units replacing, but bit too late to crack this, especially because if she goes for this base, she may not be able to escape. The Void Rays are here ahead of the rest of the army, but they're going to take some efficient enough trades. How MCanning supply looks, and then eventually Nina will be corralled into a corner.
MCanning is gonna be able to kill enough of the stalkers that oh god, you can't swim versus that many disruptors. I'm sorry. Nina finally gonna tap out, but my god, did she fight for that one. Look at the look on MCanning's face saying, oh my god, she's making me work for it.
Yeah, exactly. That was so funny watching his face. Nina, she almost made that look like a viable strategy. The last 5 minutes, I should say. Like the first 8 minutes, 10 minutes, that's fine. But the last 5 minutes, as I was saying, everyone else would have tapped out. She made it look like she's been in that position before, and she was like, no, I just keep picking off orders. It's fine. And it would have if MCanning had actually not been mining from a fresh base.
Yeah. You know, honestly, you know what it reminded me of, Zombie Grub? This is going to be like terrible flashback memories for a lot of Protoss players out there, but it reminded me of like the very end of Infestor Broodlord and like Wings of Liberty, where it'd be like, you remember there was like the Protoss players that they'd be like, okay, we're up against Infestor Broodlord, and they're like, how do we deal with this? And they'd be like, well, we just get crazy amounts of this run by harassment with warp prisms, picking off units here and there. Just, it feels like they just have this indestructible army. And yet you find these little ways to continuously keep them at home and pick them apart from different sides. And you somehow manage to find a way to like even out the game / start to come back. But in the end of the day, like you said, that one last base, that top right-hand base, that MCanning, by the way, again, very important to know, until the very last minute or so of that game, Nina didn't see that base. MCanning took that base a long time ago. And again, it was like that game sense. As soon as the base trade started, MCanning was like, I see what you're doing. I'm gonna immediately start reacting to this, and it paid off.
Yeah, that's true. He was able to understand where this game was going, so he got that base up. I think your analogy was missing something, though, that usually the Protoss player would be doing that, desperately trying to stave off the push, and then they'd be building up to a mothership so they could Vortex, which...
Yeah, that's true.
All the millennial StarCraft guys in chat are going to be like, what is that? So I think the equivalent would have been that if Nina had been able to play that type of game, and then also at minute 11, also been adding on Stargates. Then I think that's basically the actual equivalent, where you're building up to this potential, like, well, aha, I actually got enough carriers and Tempest to beat out your Void Ray carrier army of what he had. It's a weird late game thing about PvP too, actually, that we might have to talk about if it gets to late game again, if Nina actually ever plays into her own carrier Tempest thing. But the triangle, what is it? Shoot. Like fire beats
Pokemon starter
leaf.
triangle?
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Fire,
Anyways,
grass, and
water. Exactly. Yes, exactly that one. Of Tempest Void Ray carrier could be really fun. But, almost ended on a good note, and then I forgot what Pokemon was. So
it's okay. You could have also used rock, paper, scissors, but we'll accept it.
It's too easy.
Too easy. We're gamers here. We're hardcore gamers. We play Pokemon. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
All right, guys. We're going to be starting over here in the top right-hand side of the map. The red Protoss player who may not have won that last game, but my God, does she earn a lot of props and points with her stalwart style in that last game. It is Team Exxon's Nina.
More like stalwart, because it's stalkers. In the bottom left, the blue Protoss. He is MCanning.
Okay, Zombie Girl, we can't have it two ways, right? I've held in so many puns, held in so many bad puns. You don't get to have it both ways. Or like, I'm gonna make the terrible puns, but you can't say them. Like,
I never said that. You can make as many terrible puns as you want.
I know.
Remember when I got you with the warty eye thing?
Dude, that broke me. I was just like, I did not know what to do after that one. Look at that immaculate spray micro from Nina, the North American scene. Well above, you have the MCanning GLHF Colossus triple spray on the ramp back to back with such immaculate timing on it that they all line up as though it were a fearsome army of Colossus, saying GLHF and the implicit GG there. But Nina responding with a spaced out balloon saying, simmer back, buddy. It's okay. Take your time. Let's play another macro game. I'm not afraid of you. My God, the next level skill, the mental gymnastics and mind games
Actually, Fear Dragon, those balloons represent the clown It. And since they are on the low ground, it is much akin to when It drew the little child into the sewers. Come here, little Timmy.
Actually, yeah, you know, that's a great analogy too, because then Nina throwing down the balloons by the third base that gets cans. Oh my God, Nina. So MCanning scouts out on Saw, like, I forced the Nexus at this other location. Throws down the balloons. Come here, little boy. Come attack my very, very far away expansion. And baits him into going for maybe a more aggressive attack than he should, because the other Nexus just gets taken instead.
It is still kind of awkward, though.
Yeah, I mean, MCanning's Nexus is actually so much faster. So as I say all this, I'm like, but MCanning can just not attack, honestly.
Yes. So, I mean, it's faster for two different reasons, though. While we were memeing about the tags, MCanning went for a faster Nexus, just like a one gateway expander, right? He had that low wall off set up. So Nina, you know, she opened up with 2 gateways. I think she canceled one of her gateways, if I was remembering correctly during the memes. And then went for a Nexus. And then I think she did that not because of a mind game, as fun as that was, but because she kind of had to. Like, if that was actually where she was going to put it and be scouted, yeah, the possibilities of MCanning attacking her were too great. It might play into a mind game. It might be that MCanning's like, aha, I'll get you, but, well, his hallucination just scouted that as, in fact, the regular Nexus at a much, much later timing.
Yeah, I'm really wondering how this full wall off from MCanning is actually also going to be working out, because that's going to allow him to be a bit more defensive for a bit. He doesn't have to worry about like an early adept harassment and making the shield battery over and over again and canceling it. Just the shield battery is there, the full wall off is there. The Oracle is going to be able to find one of the probes. It's just going for some extra scouting information on that right-hand side. And it's just going to be, it's just going to be a blink and a forge over there for MCanning.
MCanning really is getting the benefit of the openers. It's such a drastic difference from when they played in that best of 5. In fact, I think that best of 5 even started with Nina trying to proxy Stargate MCanning, and he found it out, and yet she still ended up winning. So, such a drastic difference. MCanning's winning. I mean, he's already up 1-0, but then also, I would say, winning this game. I mean, maybe not super drastically, but getting all the benefits from the early section.
This is exactly what I expected. Things look like losing one Oracle is not entirely ideal there for Nina, but at least keeps the second Oracle alive. I was gonna say, like, I feel as though MCanning is usually a bit better with like build order choices and game sense and like strategic decision making and stuff and reactions. And Nina is, like we saw on the end of that last game, making a situation that, like, okay, every other Pros player is just like, I'm dead. Nina makes it a game because that's like where her strengths lie. This is actually a lot of what I expected the series to look like, as much as it very much so wasn't what the series looked like the last time they played.
I mean, I'm glad to see it. Yeah. MCanning was still doing the 8 of Death opener every game and be like, what?
That would be worrisome. Oh boy, we got a Dark Shrine on the way. And Zombie Grub, do you know about the famous, the infamous MCanning build of the DTs?
What?
This is 7 DT build? No?
Go on.
Okay. Well, actually, I don't think it's going to be the case this game because he is hiding on like charge and stuff. I just you know, keep an eye out for it. MCanning has a very infamous build that he came up with like years ago, where you just basically you make 7 DTs and run them in, and you just massacre people, even like a very high level. He's killed some really good players with it, but doesn't look like it's gonna be the case. Oh, that's cute. You know, there's been all this Oracle scouting, hallucinate Phoenix and everything. Yeah, go ahead and hallucinate an Immortal. Scare your opponent into thinking you have a bigger army than you really do for a bit.
It might have been a misclick.
And you know, I actually don't think it was.
I'm not sure.
Is like, if you watch MCanning stream, you'll realize he thinks like this a lot.
He just guarded his Immortal hallucination against the hallucination, though.
That is how it's gonna sound like I'm memeing right now, and I'm doing like the MCanning, creator of the universe. That's actually how DP thinks. He will actually be like, I have to sell this, so I will try and protect the information that I'm trying to bait you with. Like, he thinks on a different level, Zombie Grub.
Okay, I mean, hey, I'm on board, man, because the hallucination for a Phoenix and an Immortal are like 2 completely different buttons. I'm with you. Anyways, so the one thing that you would be scared of seeing like an okay number of immortals would be a push like this, but Nina actually with a just good number of stalkers gets ahead of it, and it is actually only a single immortal, which she will then target fire down as well as the observer. Nicely done. Yeah. This is going to draw Nina out of position though for MCanning. Going for the DTs. Oh, wow. Wow. It's like she knew. She just saw.
Yeah. This is also really unfortunate. Oh, man. Okay, one DT does manage to make its way into the main base. I was going to say, though, these DTs were actually idled down there on that low ground. Where the other DT just escaped to, that's where the DTs were idled the entire time that little, I don't even want to call it a fight. I want to call it like a massacre on the left-hand side of the map happened. The DTs had an opportunity to move in a bit earlier, but MCanning, I think, was both in like panic mode, realizing that he just did not have that large of an army comparatively, and also was desperately trying to recall. So just the DTs could have maybe even gotten a little bit more done, but didn't.
Yeah, I think it was one of those situations where ideally one or another gets damaged on, but since it was so quickly pushed back, and then the DTs were so much easier to also push back. Bit of an aggressive poke here with the amount of blink stocks Nina has. It's not going to end the game, probably, but Nina certainly has the benefits of numbers. Takes down a couple of zealots, ultimately runs away. Again, like that earlier Dark Shrine, I really am questioning how much it's going to be, like, I guess, common as the PvP continues to develop, because it seems like if you get an early enough Dark Shrine, okay, this early Dark Shrine, like build order Dark Shrine, they don't have cans, they don't have observers, great, A+. Then there's like mid Dark Shrine when you're both on 3-base saturation and everyone has cannons anyway, so why go for like single DT harassment? And there's late game Dark Shrine, which is, yeah, the 10 DTs doing a lot of damage, and I wonder about that mid game Dark Shrine. But enough wondering. Hypotheticals are useless when it's an actual engagement. MCanning getting surprisingly bold after being the one taking the fight initially.
Well, I mean, if you do look at the numbers right now, it is just Nina on pure Stalker with 1 sentry. So I think the idea here for MCanning is he's going to see the shield battery overcharge and back the heck on out of there for a little bit. But for MCanning, the idea is Archons are going to be able to knock down these forces to prevent, the complete shutout over here. But then Chargelot's supposed to get a lot done. But once there's a Disruptor out, oh boy, Nina's going to be a hard person to break through.
Her +2 still isn't quite done, so this really is a great time for MCanning, and all the Zealots are going to get on top of these Stalkers, forcing them to a very uncomfortable position, and yet, funnily enough, now the Archons aren't really getting too much damage done. Yeah. The Stalkers are attacking cannons instead of actually helping out, and I think Nina eventually will be okay. She still has an Observer as well. Nope, not anymore. Actually, MCanning specifically targeting that to try and use more of his DTs, but does he have one? I don't think he does.
No.
He pushed back.
The last DT got sniped off right as the Observer died as well, but I still think that Nina is just going to have a bit too much over here. Will be able to clean up that army. Loses 6 workers, sure, but okay, well, wait a second. These DTs might be something. No, another Observer shows up. My God.
Yep, and you can see MCanning was like a little bit hopeful. He was still holding on to that hope for those DTs, and then they get sniped. And that is Nina with 4 bases and a lot of Stalkers left over. Finally finalizing the upgrade too, so it's going to be even for a little while. MCanning, though, not going to tap out, and I think he's not just the type of player who would stick in as soon as he has Disruptors, but just makes sense. That is everyone right now. It's like, if I can get the Disruptors, then maybe I can do something. And I believe that he can try and hold on for a little while longer. But Nina really did take quite a fight. I think that just turned awkward. I think there's just too much Sim City involved in that fight for MCanning to win it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think that Nina actually identified that very early on, saying like, you're relying on charge lots to beat out Blink Stalkers, which charge lots do win in a one-on-one fight if the Stalkers have like a ton of surface area on them. The charge lots can all attack, but you get back into that big choked up area behind the mineral line. Even the Archons are going to be suffering, like you were pointing out. That is how Nina can really abuse the Stalkers versus that kind of army. But she really has to rely a bit more on Disruptors when you talk about bigger, wider open areas like we're kind of getting into right now.
MCanning's army looks quite small. It's got an upgrade lead, so, I mean, aside from the Disruptors,
not immortal.
Good fight. Zealots on top, good splits away from the Disruptors while he can. MCanning's second Disruptor is now out, and I think going to force Nina to temporarily back off. That's like literally just like that temporary. Now she's going to move back in.
Yeah, another Disruptor does at least zone out this army for a little bit. Oh, DT does get sniped off on the retreat. Looks like it may have been a little F2A move or something there, but there's the big blink forward on the Stalkers. Sniping off Disruptor after Disruptor. kills the Immortal, and that is likely going to force a good old tap out soon over here from our boy MCanning, because just got nothing left over here to defend anymore. See, he's kind of considering, he's thinking about it, but you know what? He was up 1-0. He's going to recall the probes out. Oh my god. He was up 1-0, and he's still absolutely got a shot in game number 3.
Yeah. I mean, he's already shown like a pretty... He's got good builder choices, and I still say that the beginning of this game was going quite well for him, even though Nina was able to bring it back. And I like the attack. It just really did turn too awkward SimCity-wise. Last disruptor shot into the tap out. Nina evens up the score.
Yeah, really well done there by Nina to play that out, like you said, from a good spot. I quickly want to give an update just because there were other games that were going on, and I just want to mention that those have all concluded. So I do believe the group is actually locked in. Like, Nina is advancing on whether she wins or loses this, but this is absolutely a match that I think both these players have a lot of pride on the line for, guys. So we'll be back after a short break before we move into game number 3 to conclude Group A for DreamHack Masters NA. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the DreamHack SC2 NA Masters event. Group A is about to conclude over here with this one final game between MCanning and Nina. One of these players is already advanced on, the other player is already knocked out, but they are still going to be competing for a bit of prize money. But I really, just knowing these two players, it's not actually even going to be about the money for them as much as it is going to be a lot about the pride. Both of them very, very proud of their ability to beat the other one, because I think they do consider themselves somewhat rivals, I would say, in the North American scene.
They're streamer rivals.
They're definitely streamer rivals. And guys, I just want to actually give a massive shout out to their streams. Like, if you don't check them out, they have some of my favorite streams in all of StarCraft, and they had very different niches as well. MCanning's the very talkative kind of guy who will build, he'll build himself up a little bit if you like the style of a lot of, the other kind of games that we see. That's not usually the StarCraft style of like building yourself up, doing a little trash talk, talking a lot while you're playing the game and everything. That's MCanning for you. Nina, really, really solid techno, like groovy vibes, a great music, and just absolutely phenomenal, super flashy micro and plays and everything. Both of them got some great streams. You should definitely go check them out.
Dang, man. What a solid recommendation.
Yeah, been a long time since both of them. Been enjoying this stream for a while.
Subscriber to a lot of people.
I am.
It's all that passion.
Fun fact, Day9 is an older subscriber of MCanning than I am. And I've been subscribed to MCanning for like 40 or 50 months or something now.
Yes, but how long is your subscription to Day9?
I think I have the 6th, or it's somewhere between 6th and 9th oldest subscription on all of Twitch. And it's to Day9.
Fanboy alert.
Stalker alerts is more accurate probably, but yeah.
Oh, okay, well, you're the one that said that, so.
Yeah, I'm not denying it.
Yeah, all right, moving past it. On Death Or for Game 3, bottom right, he is MCanning.
And speaking of stalkers, her stalker play is immaculate. Up here on the top left-hand side of the map, we have from Team Exxon, it is Nina.
That is very easy to quote out of context.
We're gonna move past it, as you said. We got a good old PvP. I want to actually bring up the fact that, because we were, talking about the meta spray, right? The meta sprays that were coming out from both these players. In this game, first of all, we're not seeing the meta spray coming out just yet, because both of them are not really going for the super early scouts after like the first gateway or anything. In fact, MCanning only goes for the probe scout after the second gateway. Nina not sending out a scout at all this game. But I bring it up because there was a difference in that last game you were hinting at with how the gateway openings opened up, how MCanning went for a fast nexus. Nina actually canceled the gateway and everything. Like, I'd love to see how like those openings are affecting this game.
I mean, it was also possible for one of them to go for a faster nexus on Death Aura. It occasionally happens, but as MCanning will see, it is just the 2 gateways. And as Nina will see, well, she has no flipping idea. She's saving the economy.
Oh, but look at that though. All right, we actually have the hold off on the extra sprays. Goes for 1 spray in the main, waits at the side. Nina goes with a counter-responsive spray by the spray of MCanning. I want to note this. Literally sacrificing mining time by sending the worker off of mining, go throw down the spray, then go back to mining. MCanning responds by doing the full wall off with a triple spray on the ramp, saying you can't leave.
This must be what like non-StarCraft 2 fans hear when they listen to StarCraft. It's like it sounds very intelligent and very impactful, but it's probably not much.
I mean, that's just basically all of my commentary, Zombie Bro. We got a Stargate opening over here from MCanning, though, and Nina's going to go for the faster Nexus since that pylon block does eventually just get canceled.
I wonder how much of this is off of Nina not scouting MCanning's decision to go for a 1-base Stargate. I mean, it's a pretty common build anyways, but I'm just, he would have noticed that no probe was being sent out. I mean, even at the top level, you'll see people count probes to see if like one is scouting and the other one is proxying. That would happen.
Zombie, can I make a prediction here?
What?
I think that MCanning is reading a bit of like the type of player Nina is, and it's again going back to that stubbornness, which I think is sometimes one of her best attributes. Like, she'll be stubborn, but because of her stubbornness and like how she approaches a response to something which is a bit abnormal, she gets so good at it because she sticks with it and she's able to make absolutely phenomenal plays happen, and she has this off-meta style a lot of the time. I think MCanning is identifying that and saying, I don't think you're gonna adjust. Well, he's throwing out Twilight Council now. I was gonna say, I thought he actually might just, oh, sorry, no, that's Nina. I have the, sorry. On my overlay, I had the name, or the stuff flipped, but I actually think that MCanning is gonna try and bring this out the same way game number 1 went, in anticipation that Nina will not adapt or adjust, and Nina will just think, if I just played that better, I could win with that style.
Well, she might have, so it's a bit of a dangerous game to play. MCanning, as far as, is he actually going to winners again? I mean, I'd be really awfully suspicious about it. I think that Nina could play this a couple different ways better than what she did in the first game. But I guess time will tell if he adds on a second Stargate. Nina going for, I mean, still not really bothering to scout. She did a little bit, actually. Hallucination finally got through. But, you know, not knowing about the Oracle, she actually still built Shield Battery and was not going to take damage from there. Could now, there's 2 Oracles, true. But if we're not talking about the Void Rays, then I would say that she got a nice lead with the Blink and +1, a really nice lead. But we are talking about Void Rays. It was that option, or it was actually like an Immortal charge option with the Robo, right? But since no Twilight Council, clearly MCanning has not been thinking about Blink at all. And that's what Nina's seen so far. So she knows it's not Blink, might already be thinking about the Mass Void Rays.
Yes, indeed. More Stalkers getting warped in over there for Nina, as with that 3rd base. And yeah, you know, if we are going to see something similar to game number 1, I think that was maybe one thing that could help out Nina as well. If you want to go for that mass Blink Stalker style, like really leading into even the later stages, having a faster expansion path against that is one way you could try and help deal with that. But MCanning gets up his own 3rd base, not too far behind, and I love these little stasis traps that he's throwing down. I'd love to see a stasis trap up in the main base. Please tell me he's throwing one down. Yes! This is where the Blink Stalkers could potentially jump into the main. This is a great spot to have that, even though it would likely get scouted, because if you have high ground vision, you probably have an observer there. Still really like the idea of it.
I really like Nina's setup this game. I mean, you said it, I'll repeat it, like you want to get the economy first and then the aggression. And then also, I would like if Nina moved out with her Stalkers, since Blink is finishing up, just to try and see if she could get a quick cancel on the 3rd. She's not, though, so that's not going to happen, but it is still a much faster 3rd for her.
I think that's, you know what this is actually attributed to the power of? It's the power of the 2 Oracles staying alive. Because in the first game, I think it was, you know, we've seen a lot of StarCraft today, but I think it was the first game we saw MCanning dive in with the Oracles, get 4 kills, but loses 1 of them. And then from there, you know, you're not actually as afraid because you got a shield battery over there, so you're fine against 1 Oracle. But when there's 2 Oracles, like, you do kind of have to be a bit careful about how far out of position your Stalkers are, and if they're being aggressive, like, what's dealing with the Oracle. So I think that might be part of it.
I think you're right. Like, you really have to respect it. And then it's not like it's guaranteed she would have gotten anything from moving out faster than this. But I think it is one of the strengths of Blink, because you can and then just leave if nothing's going to happen. But yeah, if there's 2 Oracles, you got to be scared. Stasis Trap is something that I think she's going to look for. She's been really good about seeing him in the past, at the very least. Yeah, she knows.
Oh my god. The flashiness of Nina, who doesn't even allow a Stalker to get trapped in there, just immediately blinks out, but goes for the focus fire on the Void Ray, doesn't quite get to the shield battery overcharge. Oh my god. Way stronger than I think Nina was anticipating there. Literally, I think 2 Stalkers shy. I'm not sure if the 2 Stalkers got sniped off faster than she thought, or if the 2 Stalkers just didn't get in range of that first Void Ray.
Because I don't think she really has to be targeting down the Void Ray specifically, although she did just do that, so that's nice. I mean, got some serious revenge, lost 2 more Stalkers, and then got the 2 Void Rays. But anyways, to my point, like, I don't think she necessarily had to have gotten the Void Rays, although I think the ideal situation is just to let them get enough. I think she could have just gotten a couple of Zealots, maybe a Sentry, you know, backed away. I mean, there's a world where she can actually play as perfectly as she would hope, and like not lose any Stalkers to just poking and prodding. But she continues to actually just push in. Oh my god!
Oh, Zombie Grub! This is both great and terrible. Okay, Zombie Grub 99% useless fact right now. Blink does not start coming off cooldown when you're in a stasis trap.
That's not 99% useless, man. That is like usually very useful. Another Blink 4 to try and kill the Disruptor. Just gets 3 more Stalkers trapped. He's gonna time it out. The split at the last second was pretty decent. I think only 3 Stalkers went down. But 3 Stalkers still in stasis means that Nina is such in an uncomfortable position. You know, well, MCanning was reinforcing and setting up his disruptor shot. She was just stuck in time, trying to race over here with the rest of her units.
Oh man, absolutely brutal. Nina's style here, as much as she was able to pull out an unbelievably contentious game number 1, there's the sweat drops there. But I mean, this style is very much built off of the idea that you are going to build up a critical mass of stalkers to either kill your opponent in a head-on fight or be able to play like the loop-de-loop around with a lot of stalkers. And Nina just losing so many of them is going to put her in such an awkward, difficult position where she's not going to be able to out-econ MCanning quite the same way she was in the first game. MCanning has total control right now to just take that and establish that 4th base and get up an even larger army.
Well, she's got to play this out, all right? Like, not because she's not going to make out of the group. She is out of the group, guys. It's fine. And not necessarily because of 125 or $100, I think it is, but it just, like, she played out the first game, all right? Like, you don't tap out at this one when the situations are, I dare say, even similar. You know, even supply, even bases. Nina definitely needs to get a faster 5th up, but even like a faster, she's already almost a +3. There's a lot of similarities, so you definitely don't tap out of this game.
Yeah. I mean, Zombie Grub, just to put this into like perspective of Nina's personality, these are the kind of games that Nina enjoy. Like, Nina plays StarCraft because she likes these kind of games. This is actually like the last kind of game that she would tap out from. This is her cup of tea.
She plays StarCraft for fun? Preposterous.
I know. It's something I really admire about her, though. Like, she is one of the StarCraft players that I'm like, I actually truly believe that if she really just didn't enjoy StarCraft, she would actually stop, which is not actually the case for a lot of StarCraft players.
Yeah. True. All right, so breaking MCanning on the 4 bases is pretty much impossible, even if she wasn't behind. I mean, it was going to always be difficult with Death Aura's just defensive capabilities. She can out-expand him, and again, I would love if she tried matching him to the late game. Because if she got up to Carrier Tempest without dying, you know, that's pretty critical, but still, if she got up to Carrier Tempest, that is kind of supposed to be better than Void Ray Carrier. There's a lot of, you know, there's going to be micros, there's going to be positioning, there's going to be, you know, economies to consider if that point would ever happen. But I would prefer it to simply sticking on stalkers. Doing this while you build up, fantastic, great, yeah, go ahead. But just doing this, it's going to be exactly like the first game, and by that I mean she's going to lose.
I mean, so Zombie, I think it's very important you bring all that up, because I think it's super important to recognize that that is probably the case. But I think this is, it's like, again, it's that blessing and curse that I feel like is about Nina, where she is very stubborn with her playstyle, and she gets so good at doing it because she is so stubborn about it, and she does it in situations where maybe there is another solution that you could try and go for, but at the same time, like, I don't anticipate her really trying to transition out. Like, this is the way she wants to react and play against this. I feel like she's kind of shown that, and I actually agree with you. I think it would be easier and better, like, strategically to do what you're talking about. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
You're right.
All right, I'm glad we're on a consensus on that.
Yeah, there's no technology being thrown down. Oh, that's just kind of a scary position to be in. All right, she's gonna be able to blink out. But you know, the other thing that's missing from this game is that she never got into that storm, which I mean, it didn't really make or break any of the engagements after kind of the first one, but I still might like to see, just so that she has something to put a bank into. Even in that first game, she had a gas bank, and I was like, maybe a couple Archons could get a Hail Mary splash, right? Well, again, in this game, I think it could be the same deal. You got 2,700 gas. Maybe the Archons actually get underneath the army would be better than just having 2,700 gas.
Yeah, I think one big problem over here for Nina also is just going to be that at this point, the army is actually on her side of the map. It's knocking out multiple bases, and the charge lot run by was big over there. MCanning also has these disruptors that are going to be coming out. They're going to at least force attention for Nina to be on this side of the map with the stalkers, because this is your lifeblood. And look at that, a good stalker connection from one of the disruptors that rally on forward. Well, frankly, not to make it sound a little bit too, you know, Protoss hurdy-dur, that Void Ray Carrier army kind of handles itself, Zombie. You don't actually have to micro that much.
You can say it. It's a movie. MCanning can focus entirely on the disruptors back at home, whereas Nina is going to be focusing on every different location, and that's just not. It's not going to work in her benefit. She's going to grab a carrier and lose a couple more stalkers to just the zealots and the probes. Nina has lost control of her 3 bases. Maybe MCanning just goes up into the main to stop the production, which is not what he did last time. Okay, similar decision. Going to go after the economy again.
Yeah. I get it. I really like the idea of shutting down some of the production a bit, but he's still going to be able to snag that base pretty quickly. Going to lose a lot of the probes over here on this right-hand side at the same time the natural gets moved into. Disruptor gets Blunk on. I think there's another disruptor, or 3 disruptors ready to fire some shots before Blink is off of cooldown. A good split over there from Nina at the beginning. And gets Blink off cooldown just in time to save the rest of the stalkers.
Oh my gosh, that was really close. Another disruptor, I think, just popped. It's gonna die though.
It's gonna pop, all right.
Is this gonna work for your Dragon? In the first game, she was down 30 supply pretty consistently. In this game, she even is now ahead of supply. She grabs the carries and disruptors. MCanning is going to return, and can he take the fight? You would think so. Let's see what Nina can do.
He is going to try for it, and Nina takes a lot of disruptor hits over there on the stalker count. There's not that many void rays left over, but the carrier count is so high now. Nina really needs those other 2 bases established. Those 2 bases that are building are so important right now. I think she's starting to mine from the left-hand side one, but she needs to replenish the stalker she just lost. That is her lifeblood, is out-producing MCanning now.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And catching any of the units off guard as they, transport across the map, which she needs to get back in on. She had to escape first, and then now she needs to worry about defending that base. She's not going to find any units away from each other. There's a lot of stalkers, but...
Maybe she will. Okay, Blink gets used very early on. I was going to say maybe an opportunity for jumping onto the disruptors here, but it's going to be on cooldown for a few more seconds. Looks like Nina is going to evacuate. She's not going to try and take that fight. She has a top right-hand base taken, but this is where Nina, I think she's just going to go for the counterattack, right? Like, this is where you just give up the base and go? Your opponent's out of position?
Maybe if she sees MCanning pull away.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. I was going to say maybe she tries to catch some units on the commute back home, but if it's just a recall, then she really can't do that. Her probes have just been recalled to that base, so like every single probe died. There is the recall, and nothing is really going to get sniped. Oh gosh, carrier almost did.
Yeah, but okay, you know what? I actually think as much as many players out there have very bitter feelings about Protoss and everything, recall's cooldown does actually last a bit, and there is an opportunity there because remember, Nina established a top right-hand base. MCanning not mining from a 3rd right now. Nina, the long, okay, observer going down kind of suck. But I was gonna say, like, this is one of those moments where now MCanning has an awkward choice to make. He says, okay, well, I don't have recall, so what do I do for a bit? Wait a second. Oh my god. Yeah, he has multiple recalls now.
Yeah. Well, not only that, like the reason I was getting hyped about the observers because Nina recognized that they were going to get sniped, so she actually pulled one away. But I mean, she might be thinking of DTs right now. She's going to realize that it's a mothership, and if she loses all of her observers, her only chance is to snipe a mothership, which surely should not happen.
Yeah, that's going to get very difficult. But the fact that the mothership is going with the army does mean there is once again the potential of the run-by base trade, right? You kill off a couple of these void rays on the retreat because the mothership is now the slowest unit in this army alongside those carriers and everything. Like, there's even more that's going very slow. And you see 2 disruptors get sniped off. Nina blinks out to the left-hand side. DTs run in, but the shield batter overcharge is going to be able to keep that cannon alive even against the high DPS of those +3 weapon DTs.
Good save on the DTs, though. Those are going to be crucial for later on. I mean, imagine adding just a couple more Zealots or DTs. No cancel on that Nexus is a real big bummer for Nina, but a good recall saves the right side base, and it looks like she's going to be able to maybe meet up for Stalkers again. I mean, now she's controlling 2 different pairs, but MCanning's army is just so slow.
Recalls on cooldown, Zombie Grub, and there's still an opportunity here. Remember, if you snipe off that natural expansion base, there's actually 0 mineral patches or gas geysers left in the main base. It'd be long distance mining for MCanning, and every one of those void rays that get picked off by the stalkers is gonna really hurt. Snipe off on the cannon, that's gonna open the pathway for DTs. The army is catching some of the reinforcements there, so it does get slowed down, but at the end of the day, Nina is able to escape out safely.
I think she got a carrier. I mean, maybe it was the last void ray, but she got something important in the middle of the map, and it couldn't quite catch it. This is MCanning really. Look at him. He knows he's gonna lose. He can't catch up to her army.
Oh, okay, Zombie Grub. Here's one other thought as the Stalkers are starting to maneuver around. There is an observer back at home over here for MCanning, but if those 3 DTs start running on in, there's actually no units. And remember, this isn't like a typical game where it's like, well, you can warp it defensively. No, the whole army is on the other side of the map. There's no units coming out after that. How do you deal with not only the DTs, actually, it's apparently also the Stalkers.
This game is so weird, man. MCanning, losing this game is like just a testament to how good Nina is, really. I mean, I'm not even sure he really could have done stuff differently. I guess maybe he could have played defensively a bit better as the base trade really got initiated, but what a difficult game. What a weird game. And it all goes back to your point about Nina being stubborn. It's her greatest strength and her greatest weakness. And in this case, if first game was a weakness, third game, it might be a strength.
Honestly, Zombie Grub, like, there is no one on earth that could convince me that Nina could have pulled off this kind of level of play for this style. As crazy as it seems, as much as so many people probably slamming their heads against their desk being like, there are easier ways to do this, Nina, why did you play this on hard mode? Like, but there's no way Nina would have been able to play it this well if she hadn't been the kind of player that has done this many times, even if it's not necessarily considered the quote-unquote best response. StarCraft is not a game, as much as it is a game about strategy, it's not a game about just saying, this is the best strategy and this is what you do every game. StarCraft is a game about expression, and I feel like Nina is one of the players that embodies that. It's one of the reasons I absolutely love Nina as a player.
Beautiful, man.
It is. Like, it really is.
It's your specific painting art style. It's pretty cool. Recall is going to be used from MCanning. Is he going to lose the mothership anywhere? No. He's actually, that's an awkward recall right there. That is a super awkward recall if you're a dragon. There's 2 disruptors off to the left. It's right in the middle. Oh my god. Disruptors though. Okay, they're going to survive.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we'll get out of there. Yeah, it's definitely not over yet, guys. That mothership is still a bit of a problem. And remember, Nina's down to basically also zero-based mining. There's 1 mineral pack with 100 minerals left, and I guess a few probes long-distance mining. Like, it's not over.
Oh, it's just so funny. MCanning didn't clear up the observer in his mains. That is a nexus that could be targetable easily in the future. I mean, even if the observer wasn't there, she could easily just walk up the ramp.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. MCanning.
Where's MCanning's last probe? Okay, it's ready to make a gas geyser. MCanning is very aware of the situation right now. So Zombie Grub, okay, here's a thought. If MCanning, okay, I'm a little worried that the probe is gonna get found by these stalkers. Okay, is able to keep it safe for now. I was gonna say though, like if Nina loses that new nexus and MCanning is able to go into like the natural, if a lot of those long distancing probes actually just get picked off, like suddenly, yes, Nina is now in a straight up damage DPS base trade with fewer buildings to kill. But MCanning might actually just be able to deny any additional buildings being made.
I get exactly what you're saying. I mean, I don't know what is.
Where's the escape path for Nina? Does Nina have an escape route? Blink just gets used inside the main base. There's a recall. 4 stalkers are going to go down over here, but I mean, yeah, getting the majority of the stalkers out.
It's such an odd game. Well, now MCanning, so he does have an extractor to make, or similar to make. So that's not truly all of his buildings, but it is damn close to it. The observer is still available, so 2 DTs just went down. Nina now on 18 stalkers with +3 and 1 shield against 5 carriers, 4 disruptors, a mothership, and a couple of guardian shields, actually, which should not be undervalued. Yeah, Nina's gonna base race this, right? Like, can she actually pick off carriers? One of them's quite weak. Definitely pick off that one.
So, okay, you know what? I just realized there's another solution. Oh no, Zombie Grub canceled that interceptor! Oh, you can't afford any gas anymore!
Oh,
the interceptors! I was about to say, every interceptor you kill can't be replaced.
Oh my god, you're so right. It's toggled on to default remake. Oh, if it comes down to that assimilator not being made. Oh man. MCanning actually, nicely done. This is what I love it. Recall is available. So if the mothership accidentally found the army somehow, like he didn't know where it was, then you can just recall it. Excellent attempt at a force field. These probes though, hopefully, well, it doesn't matter if they find that probe remaining, does it? MCanning doesn't need the probe anymore.
Okay, here we go. So, okay, you know what, Zombie Grip? I just realized, okay, I would love one more thing from MCanning. He's still doing okay because he knows where all these stalkers are, but he's losing all the interceptors.
Well, he's trying to target each individual stalker down, so it's not him just aim moving. He is actually targeting even maybe the weak ones down. It's 28 interceptors to 12 stalkers. Disruptors also still play a part, though. All it takes is like even one stalker going down to Disruptor is absolutely fantastic, and that's 2-3. Oh, that might be it.
The stalkers actually can't win that fight anymore. They have to back off. Nina is long distance mining right now. The mothership also. Nina has a recall available. The DTs are on the other side of the map. This is a straight up base trade now. That is the way that Nina can still win this, but goes to the recall over to the other base. But now there's a recall from the mothership to recall the carriers in. It's a double recall, and Nina is gonna have to run away.
Oh my God, but I guess that is the recall left. She's gonna try and go for the base race. The Disruptors and the Sentries are waiting. The DTs, I don't know if they've seen them or not, but the whole 3 Disruptor shots, Nina actually just has to avoid them. She can't target them down. I don't think she can. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Oh, force field from MCanning. My God, this man, he might not advance to the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen, but he goddamn advanced straight into my heart. What a series. What a game for both of these players.
I love it too. Like, she tried to target down the Observer, hoping it was the last one, but it wasn't. There's one more Observer, and now might be the time to tap out. Oh, man.
This is NA StarCraft, guys. This is NA StarCraft.
Imagine what had happened if he had actually lost the Observer, though.